Okay, well, welcome back. This is really segment 3 of our review of the Glock 44, the 22 caliber handgun that Glock came out with at SHOT Show. We did an unboxing. We did a rather extensive uh, test using 20 different types of ammunition. And now, for the first time after about 1,800 rounds through it, we're going to clean it. We expect it to be completely disgustingly dirty, knowing how 22 ammunition is. So, that being said, we're going to go ahead and take it apart. Comes apart like any other Glock. It is really quite dirty. So there's the spring assembly and the barrel, obviously. And then to take the striker assembly out, it's really like any other Glock. You come under here, there's going to be a little spring there. You're going to depress that spring, and the back is going to come right out like that. So the striker cover comes right out. Then the extractor comes out. Spring comes right off of that one. Don't know that. There we go. And the striker, like that. The extractor door, just you're going to press down on the plunger, take the door out, turn it over, knock the plunger out, and you're going to have a fully disassembled slide. I'm still very impressed with how light they've made this slide. We're going to come over and we're going to take the frame apart. Unlike most Gen 5s, there are only 2 pins rather than 3. You don't need to take a mallet or anything else to take pins out of a Glock. All you need is a punch and a good solid hand. I always take the pin out and put it in from the same side. So that is to say that if I take it out if I push it from the left to the right, I put it in from the right to the left. Old habits die hard, I guess. I don't know that there's any real reason that I do that other than to say that I do. So there's the first pin. And that was a little bigger. I'm going to use a bigger punch. And there's the second pin. And I've not had to beat the hell out of it with anything to make those come out. The next thing that's going to come out is the locking block. The best way to take those locking blocks out, as far as I'm concerned, is just take a small punch, put it just underneath the front lip, and pull it up just a little bit. Just work it up just a little bit until you can get your hands on it. Once you can get your hand on it, just pull it straight out. This one is polymer, whereas most are steel. And I suspect that they've done that once again just to kind of lighten things up. You've got the ambidextrous slide release, just like on any other Gen 5, that comes straight out. All you're going to need to do to take the trigger out, because we've already pulled the pins, is just reach in, grab the bar, and come straight up. That trigger comes out completely just like that, and it is very dirty, as is the rest. Obviously, we're going to take the magazine release out by coming inside with our little hook, bringing the spring over and out through its little channel there, and then once that's done, you're just going to run it straight through. And because it's ambidextrous, it's going to be a little bit more difficult to pull out. So there you have that. We have a completely disassembled frame and a completely disassembled slide. Now, I don't think it necessary to bore you watching me clean these parts. But what we're going to do is we're going to do a deep cleaning with good old Hoppies. I like Hoppies. There's other brands out there. You can use CLP or any of the others. You know, I'm an old diehard Marine. I like Hoppies. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take a break from you, clean this, and then we'll come back and revisit the reassembly. Okay, now that we've taken it all apart, gotten everything cleaned up, we're going to put it back together. I start with the frame. For no particular reason. You could start with the slide if you wanted, but I'm going to start with the frame. So the first thing we're going to do then is we are going to take the trigger and we are going to put it back in. It goes in the same way it came out. Just there's a little groove right here that this back pin sits in. Make sure it's good and square. And the trigger slides down into its slot there, just like that. Okay, like that. Then we take the slide lock, and the slide lock goes just in if you don't have it upside down, just like that. Then of course you have your locking block that goes in just the way it came out. With that, you just want to make sure that you're getting as far even as you can. You don't want that to get too sideways. Just like that. And then we'll go with the pins. I always go with the rear pin first. We took it out from the from left to right, so we're putting it back in from right to left. Once again, there's no reason to beat on that or push on it or anything of that nature. We're going to do the same thing with the forward pin that holds the trigger mechanism in. You'll notice that I've just done that. They're just up a little bit. I will take my punch, push it in with my hand first, of course, as far as I can, then take the punch and just tap it down. Okay, there's something not quite right there. So instead of forcing it, we're going to take it back out, make sure it's lined up good, and it's not. The trigger is just a little bit down, so we're going to move it out like that, and then we'll do it. And push it in with the punch. Same thing with this one, just push it in with the punch, like that. And once again, you see there's been no need for a mallet or a hammer or anything like that. And that not only goes with this particular weapon, but that goes with any Glock at all. So that being said, that's the frame portion of it put back together. You see it didn't take any time at all. Now we're going to go with the slide. I'm rather impressed with how this slide came out. It was particularly dirty when we started. So it's nice and clean now, and we're going to go ahead and get it put back together. We're going to start with the ejector cover and put that back in. And of course that is retained by the plunger. Which is just going to drop right back in like that. Actually, you put the plunger in first, and then put the ejector cover on. Otherwise, it won't snap in properly. So that's in. Going to take the ejector rod and spring, and that's going to go in the small hole on the side. And then, of course, your striker is going to go straight back down in like that. And then the striker cover. When you're putting the striker cover in, there's a track there, and you want to make sure that you're in the track. But it's not going to let you push back on that because the striker assembly is pushed up in the way. What I do is I just take a small punch, push down on that to relieve that spring tension, push in just a little bit, and you'll see it slipped off on me. And just so you capture it, then push down on the ejector spring, and that should allow that door to go right back in. So I'm going to turn it around so I can see what I'm doing instead of trying to show the camera. Just like that. Once you get it to that point, what you're going to do is just going to continue to keep pressure on that until you hear the snap. Once that snap is heard, you know that you're in there correctly. Then, of course, you're going to put your barrel in. Your spring assembly. And then you're going to marry the pair back up like get it all the way on their run like that. And I don't care to dry fire a weapon. I know a lot of people have a real problem dry firing striker fired weapons. I do not have that problem. So there you have a clean Glock 44. The last thing that I'll do with this is just take a rag, and I always have a rag on my lap when I'm cleaning for some reason. Just an old Marine thing that I've been doing for so many years that I can't tell you. Just wipe everything down nice and clean. It's got plenty of oil on it. You don't need to oil anything else with these cleaners and protectants. There's just really no need for it. And there you have a fully reassembled Glock 44. We here in this household anyway have been very impressed with this gun. It has had some cycling issues, like any other .22 rimfire will. I do think it's a great little trainer. I think it's a fantastic little gun to go out and play with. I do not think it is a great second option to a 19. I think if you want to shoot a 19, shoot a 19. If you want to shoot a .22, the Glock 44 is a perfectly good option. That will conclude our series, as it were, on the Glock 44. I hope you've enjoyed. Please join our channel. Make any comments that you like. We look forward to seeing you in the future.